Hi, my name is Jenna Maverick and you're watching how to use sequins with your crochet projects.
All right, so this is a big ol' square full of double crochet sequins. We won't be making this humongous square, but maybe just a tiny portion of it just to get started and learn this technique. Now, the only thing you're going to need are sequins, of course, and I'm actually going to be showing you two different techniques, one with these ones and one with these ones. We'll be doing single crochet and double crochet with these. The next thing you're going to need is a tapestry needle. So they are different from regular needles because they are much thicker, and honestly, let's see if I can get focus. It's a lot more dull, but still pokey. Pointy, I guess I should say. So tapestry needle. Also, a yarn needle, I don't really suggest. Those are a little too thick. The needle that you need to use needs to be small enough to fit through the hole of the sequin, but big enough to also make the hole a tiny bit bigger for the yarn. Okay, so tapestry needle. And the next thing we're going to need is our yarn. And I am using just the regular old Red Heart Super Saver. Color is Royal. And just like my cables video, I'm doing a winter blanket using all of these techniques. And if you want to do the crochet-along, it starts January 1st. Of 2019, and you can subscribe and be a part of that in the link below in the description. Okay, so enough of that. Let's get started. Oh, one other thing. I got this pack of sequins at Michael's, and it comes in 3 different sizes, and I didn't realize how many sizes of sequins there were until I started looking. But so the smallest size is 5mm. You don't want to do anything smaller than 10mm. That is probably the smallest that a medium weight yarn like Red Heart could take. Obviously, if you do a lighter weight yarn, it's going to be able to maybe, be threaded onto the smaller ones. Look how tiny those are. Okay, but for this one, you're going to want to use 10mm, which are these babies right here. So let's get started. All right, step 1 is to thread your tapestry needle with your, what is this called? Yarn. And the easiest way for me to do this is to kind of twist this to where we don't get that, yucky parts that's really hard to thread. See, now I have more of a smaller, and see what I mean? Super, super hard. This is probably one of the hardest parts of this whole thing, is just getting the sequins onto the yarn, honestly. Okay, see that? I'm just gonna pull it through. Yay! Okay, and then I'm also just gonna tie once. You cannot make a knot bigger than this, otherwise it's not going to fit through the sequin. Okay, and I already have my 10mm sequins already threaded, so I'm going to show you guys how to thread the big old 1-inch snowflakes. And it's the same process, you guys. They both have holes. Sound good. They both have this about the same size hole, so it's not going to be a problem when you try to use the other sequins. But these are kind of fun anyway, so all right, wow, I don't know if I really need that many. So The trick is the hole is going to get bigger as you slide it down the tapestry needle. So that way by the time it gets to the yarn, it's going to be big enough to just slide right on. Boop. There we are. Now, unfortunately, you are going to need to know exactly how many sequins you need to crochet with. Otherwise, you have to cut your yarn and add more just like this. So for instance, if I just did 3 single crochets with sequins and I need one more to finish the pattern and I don't have one threaded on here, that's going to be a problem. So you need to know how many sequins need to be threaded on. And if you don't know, thread the whole pack right from the get-go before you even start, because you don't want to be almost done with the project and then, ooh, that was kind of hard. And you don't want to be almost all the way done with the project just to have to cut and, you know, attach your yarn and all of that. It's really frustrating when that happens. Okay, so you can do it one at a time like that, very painfully. Or you could take, I would say no more than 10 at a time. So what do I have here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I'm just going to do 7. Now it's harder to do with these bigger ones, but so you can just take them one at a time and just slide it onto the needle, because they're actually very, well, you know what sequins are like. They're really flimsy, especially these ones. So it might be easier when you're pushing them down this big whole knot and onto the yarn. It's easier if you have more of a, I don't know, solid platform, I guess. I don't know what the word would be for that. To push it down onto the yarn. So see, instead of it being flimsy now, it's easy to push. But when you're doing it this way, you're going to need a hard surface to kind of just push them down, and then you just kind of wiggle it until they come on. Well, so as you can see, this isn't hard. It's just very time consuming. Okay, so see, I got some threaded on now. There we go. And do not worry for my OCD people out there. I'm not OCD, so I do not understand. But don't worry if your sequins are a little folded. See, they're kind of a little bit folded. Do not worry, honestly. Like, you're not going to notice once you start crocheting. All right, so finish threading however many sequins you want to use. I'm going to say for this tutorial, maybe about 30, just to be safe. All right, and then come back, pause, and come back when you have those threaded. All right, guys, so I forgot to mention earlier, you're going to need a crochet hook to crochet, obviously. I'm just using a size H at the moment. So the first technique I'm going to show you is the sequins with single crochet. So another part about the sequins is you're not always going to use them, obviously, when you're crocheting your different stitches. So you have to constantly kind of pull them down so you have yarn to work with. So what I'm going to do for this practice is make a slip knot, and I'm going to chain 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. All right, got my chain, and now in the, I'm Just want to make sure I'm focused here. Let's see. There we go. And now I'm going to single crochet in the second chain from the hook. Single crochet once more, and single crochet all the way across, actually. Yeah, see, you have to move our sequins down. Yeah, so the first row we're just single crocheting in each chain. Doop, doop. And then chain one and turn. All right, so we still are not ready to use our sequins yet. One thing that you need to know is the sequins will always be on one side of the work, which means all of your even rows are going to be sequinless. So that's what this next row is going to be, is just single crochet in the first, single crochet, and continue on. Now for this tutorial I'm going to be using both loops, but you can definitely play around with your texture and maybe just do back loop only, so that way it makes kind of a fun ridge. Like, I'll show you in just a second, my big old square, it kind of has ridges. Okay, there we are in chain one and turn. So it's all one piece. So what I mean is, this is actually double crochet and single crochet, and it's back loop only, which means we got all of these ridges on the back. So it definitely kind of makes it, the sequined rows stand out a little bit. See that? But for this tutorial we're not going to do that. We're just going to do both loops. Okay, so now we're going to start adding sequins. So for the first two single crochets, single crochet, boom, and now the fun part. So you're going to enter your hook, yarn over, draw up a loop, and before you yarn over and finish, you're going to bring up one of your sequins, bring it all the way up to where it's flat against the front of your work. And I like to hold it with my middle finger here to keep it in place. Now I'm going to yarn over and pull through the last two loops. Next, we're going to go into the very next single crochet, two, one, running out of room, need to pull that down, 1, 2. Now let's turn our work over and look to see what it looks like. So as you can see, we got our first sequin there. Now I am only doing this pattern for practice purposes. If you want to put a sequin on every single stitch, knock yourself out. But for this tutorial, I just want it I want it to look kind of even. All right, so here we are. Before we do the last two loops, we're going to pull a sequin all the way to our work, hold it in place, yarn over, and pull through 2 loops. All right, 2 more single crochets, insert hook, yarn over, pull through the loop, got 2 loops left, and got our sequin pushed up against the work, yarn over, pull through 2 loops, and 1, 2 single crochets, chain 1, and turn. Alright, so there's our first 3 sequins. Now, like I said before, we don't want to, well, I shouldn't say we, but for this tutorial, I don't want to have sequins on the back. So for this next row, I'm not going to be using sequins. And especially when you're doing apparel, you always want to make sure that you're not putting sequins on the wrong side of the work. Otherwise, it's going to be very uncomfortable. So again, we're just single crocheting all the way across. Now, when you come up to a sequin, it's no different. If you can see that here, we got 2 loops, just like a regular single crochet. Just like that. And again, see, I'm running out of room. So, as you can see, the result is really pretty with the sequins. However, I didn't say this was going to take, it was going to be quick. I did not say that at all. It is a tedious technique with the stringing on the sequins, and then also, dragging a sequin up to single crochet it in the work. It is going to take a little more time than usual. So just so you remember that, I'm going to say that. All right, chain 1 and turn. And now we're just going to repeat that, the 3rd row that we did. So single crochet, and then interhook, yarn over, bring up a loop, and bring up a sequin, place it against the work, hold it there, yarn over, pull through 2 loops, we get another one. Perfect. Yes, and the best thing about this technique is it's so customizable. I have a blanket that I'm actually working on where the border is with sequins, and they're in little plus sign shapes, kind of like a cross a little bit. It does take a lot of planning beforehand to come up with the design like that, but I mean, so pretty. I think anyway. I think it's really pretty. Glamorous. Alright, so that is basically the technique with single crochet. If you are looking to add sequins to something, but you want to do it a lot quicker, I think double crochet, using double crochet with the sequins is for you. So hang tight and I will come back with the snowflake sequins. Alright, so here I have my snowflakes. I've already made a slip knot, and I'm going to do the exact same as the single crochet sequins. I'm going to chain 13. 1, 2, 3, 4, 4, 5. Pull my sequins away. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. All right, and instead of a single crochet in the second chain from the hook, I'm going to be doing a double crochet. And I'm going to be double crocheting across. So come back once you've done that. All right, so I have 11 double crochet. I'm going to chain 1 and turn, double crochet in the first double crochet. Okay, and continue across. Now you don't, I started with 2 rows of double crochet before I even used the sequins, and especially for bigger ones like this that take up a lot of room, if you don't want it dangling down off your work this way, you're going to want that cushion of the 2 rows before you really start. If you want it to dangle down off of your project, then you can start using the single crochets on the first row, or single crochets, the sequins on the first row. All right, so go ahead and finish the second row of double crochets and meet me back here. Okay, so I have my 2 rows of double crochet. I am now going to chain 1, turn my work, double crochet in the first double crochet in the second, and now I'm going to use a sequin. So it's going to be worked pretty close to the same way as the single crochet. There's just an extra set of loops. So I'm going to yarn over, insert my hook, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2 loops, and now we're going to add our sequin. And just like before, we're going to push it all the way to the back of the front of the work here, just like this. I like to hold it down and find kind of a way for the yarn to come over in between the snowflake arms. And yarn over, pull through 2 loops, and then 2 more double crochet. Now, because it's bigger, it is going to be more demanding of space, but that's okay. You can work with it. I mean, you wouldn't be using sequins in your project if you weren't a patient person anyway, so you can work with it. So let's go ahead and take a look. So yeah, see this little guy has some issues. Likes to grab onto the yarn and things, but I think it looks really cute so far. It definitely adds character, I think. So we'll try it again. Yarn over, insert into the stitch, yarn over, pull up a loop. Oh, whoops, getting ahead of myself. Yarn over, pull through 2 loops. You should have 2 left. And fidget with your sequins because you're butterfingers. All right, push your sequin up against your work. Hold it with your middle finger, or whichever finger fits, right? Yarn over, pull through 2 loops. And double crochet once, double crochet twice. All right, let's try it again. Yarn over, insert through stitch, yarn over, bring up a loop, yarn over, through 2 loops, and now we bring our sequin in. So like I was saying before, if I didn't have any more sequins here, and I needed to add one on this stitch, and I had 0 sequins on my yarn, threaded on my yarn, I would have to cut, obviously, I don't want to unravel all the work I've already done. I would have to cut my yarn, add more on, and then kind of join the thread with the sequins onto my work. Not fun. So you must know how many sequins, or at least put like a whole bag's worth onto your yarn, so that way you ensure that you don't run out. Okay, and then 2 double crochet. All right, there we have it. We got 3 snowflake sequins. Let's see, this one's a little grabbing a little on the, and this one's folded over, but they are very easy. Well, I shouldn't say easy to work with, but if one's folded, you know, just unfold it, no big deal. All right, and that's what we have so far. Now we are going to chain 1, turn our work, and now we're just going to work double crochet all the way across, starting in the first double crochet here at the end. All right, do that and come back when you're done. Perfect. So this is what you should have here. I am not going to continue because I believe you guys have mastered this by now. It's really a simple technique. Like I said, it just takes time. You have to be patient and, you know, don't give yourself a unrealistic deadline because it's tedious. It really is. So, one thing I will say about the bigger sequins is you might want to give yourself a lot of room. Like I have here, I have 2 double crochet in between each stitch. I mean, you can tell just by this here, it doesn't even look like I have 2 stitches worth in between each stitch. So make sure you are giving yourself enough room when you're designing your work. Otherwise, everything's going to be kind of on top of each other like this, and that's not pretty. So you can also, maybe if you had a odd amount of stitches in here, you could, in the center stitch, the second stitch of the odd amount, you could add them so they're kitty cornered in the windows of the last row. That could be a really fun design to make. But other than that, I believe we are finished. So if you have any questions, comments, concerns, go ahead and comment below. You can also get a hold of me by email, theyarnthatbindsus@gmail.com. I'd be happy to go over any questions. And again, if you want to join me, I should say, for the Winter Blanket Crochet-A-Long for January 2019, go ahead and subscribe below, and I will see you over there. All right, that's it for today. Bye!